Hey, this is Steve Bays, and you are tuned in to the Leak in Review.
Now forget everything that you thought you knew from the shed of dreams, the Leak in Review.
Hey, welcome back to the program. It's part two of my conversation with Steve Bays. The reason for the part two is we got shut down due to a power outage in Steve's locale. So we're back up on it. In this program, we'll talk about the possibility of new music from Steve Bays coming soon, and very soon, and quite a bit of music coming in 2026, allegedly. We talk the tech, we talk AI, and Steve has some real thoughts on what AI can and can't do for music. But first, a little bit of news. If you didn't catch it, the Kennedy Center honors were handed out this week. President Trump was the MC, which is pretty wild, the first standing president to ever do such. So when he came back into office in January of 2025, he swiftly overhauled the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, transforming it from a bipartisan cultural landmark into a more politically aligned institution reflective of his vision. He began by ousting the president, Deborah Rutter, and board chair, David Rubenstein, purging existing board of trustees and replacing them with Republican supporters who promptly elected him as chairman. So Trump then secured $257 million in congressional funding through his One Big Beautiful Bill to restore the building's exterior marble, upgrade interior chairs, renovate stages, enhance security, vowing to complete the work within the year, and he did. He also criticized the venue's previous woke programming as un-American. So he inserted himself into the whole program. I did all this, and now I'll be the host for the evening. Honorees were Sylvester Stallone, Kiss, Gloria Gaynor, and they got a new ribbon, a new medal, new design. He has joked that he might be renaming the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center. We'll see what happens. Congrats to the artists on your honor. Steve Bays, Hot Heat, Mounties, Fur Trade. There might be 7 other bands in there. Gay 90s is another one. He joins the program in just a sec.
Hi, my name is Kim Stockwood. I am a proud Newfoundlander and a Canadian singer-songwriter. In a landscape where many lack access to health benefits or employee assistance programs, the Unison Fund serves as a lifeline of hope for musicians and music industry professionals facing medical emergencies or mental health challenges. To learn more about Unison and their programs, please visit unisonfund.ca.
Hey, this is Steve Bays, and you are tuned in to the Leak in Review.
I want to ask, how much AI are you using today in producing music for others?
Oh, in music, none. Yeah. I've definitely made a ton of joke videos and joke songs. You know, like I'll be like hanging out with my wife's family at their cabin, and her grandparents will say something, and then I'll go into the bathroom and then just quickly make like a super specific joke song that sounds like some like old country music that they loved in their era, and it just like blows their minds. But
isn't it crazy how quickly that is changing things, where you can honestly step away for 5 minutes and come back with a song that your parents or your grandparents are going to be like, oh my God, how did you do this? How did this all happen? You go, I typed in a couple keywords and here's where we're at.
yeah,
I just saw this the other day. 50,000 songs a day are going on to DSPs that are all AI. 50,000 songs per day.
Yeah.
Created by AI, going into digital service, to the digital service platforms. What are your thoughts?
I'm really torn because as a curious fan of new technology, like I try everything and I embrace it. But the second the scarcity is gone from something, it loses its value. So I've kind of come back full circle to, um, I think personality is really important, like unique human traits that come across in music. So, I always looked at like the Nashville songwriting and production team situation, like just as sort of in awe for how professional it was and efficient. You get the same musicians come in, they've already charted out their parts, they've heard the demo, they give you a couple options, they're gone in an hour and a half, and and then like it's such a slick, well-run machine, and the rewards financially were so high that it just felt like the opposite of my artistic approach from day one. So if I was them, I would be pretty bummed, because it's like, oh man, what made them so successful and make so much money was that they had it down to a science. So science was like, okay, sweet, you got it down to a science. Whereas I've always, as a fan of music, liked the stuff where I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And I still love the instinctual parts of music, like a good melody that just grabs you, and a good lyric that grabs you. There's a science to that too, and I love working that science into stuff. But if I'm working on something, whether it's my own music or a mix for someone, or even a master, or even if I'm just like the guy that's hired to be the B camera operator in a music video, and I'm just like getting background shots, I just can't help but work in like so many moments of personality. Not to say my personality is special, but it's just, I think it's a beautiful thing when you can feel, when you watch something or you hear something, you can just feel that the people working on it injected like their raw, vulnerable, honest selves at every turn wherever possible.
Also, they can change on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can adapt
exactly.
to the situation real quick. I'm sure AI will get there.
I've been trying them all out. I spent a fortune on tokens and subscriptions, and my conclusion is it's here to stay. There's no question, but I'm not convinced that it to me, it's almost like email. Like when we first got email, we were so excited because, oh, now you don't have to, like, as a band, for example, like pull over to the side of the road with a phone card to call the promoter in Oshawa and let them know you're on your way or whatever. Like it was such a pain to travel, and so for email to come out as a touring band, like it was like, oh my god, it just changed. You could all of a sudden set up your own tours, and you could lock way more things down. But then once everyone got email, and it wasn't this new thing that made you appear to be like extra professional, it just added this huge workload. The bar became here for, you have to get back to people right away now, and you're expected to respond to, like, I used to have to do like 50 emails a day, something insane like that, and it's made me email phobic as a result. I just hate email. Like that's why I'm a texter. I don't know what it is. I've just been traumatized by email. But I think it's the same with AI. Like, yeah, you can all of a sudden get these results really quick and really cheap, but that is now the norm. And so it'll go sort of one of two ways. Either the norm is you have to be a master AI user, and you kind of have to stay on the cutting edge for anyone to click on your thumbnail. Because already I'm like, I see somebody, with an elephant in their bedroom, on what looks like a security cam, and it's like, I'm not even gonna watch it, because I know what AI is capable of, so it doesn't impress me anymore.
So what I think about AI though, when it comes to uploading 50,000 songs a day to all the digital service providers, is that those songs, say 1% of them are going to chart. Like there will be something along the way that will chart.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do is it's going to take away a spot for somebody else who's really doing their own music. I think the audience will not know if it's AI or not. I think
you're right.
Most listeners are so passive to begin with. So it's on in the background. They have it. They don't act on things. Like, you think about how many millions of people have heard your music, but it doesn't equate to people going out and going to your shows
Right.
and connecting with you in the live. Because music is, I don't know, one thing doesn't always lead to the other, but I'm more concerned that if someone's listening to the music, they don't know, they have no way to get engaged with it. They don't care whether they should or not. And it means that the Steve Bays project that he's doing at that time is now getting delayed, reaching these people.
Yeah.
An active guy who's out on the stages and, you know, coming through your market and all that stuff. You know, these people are not going to hear about that because there's some other stuff in the way.
Yeah, and that's why I'm torn, because 50% of me thinks uh like the bar will just keep getting, like, it's sort of always been like that, you know, at every stage there's been someone that sort of figured out how to game the system, and then the, you know, like the cream rises to the crop. But I do feel like this is sort of a permanent sea change, where it's like music as we know it, art as we know it, video as we know it is permanently different, and we're never going back to the way it used to be. And I've spent I saw the writing on the wall a few years ago, and I'm like the only one I know that was just wanted to embrace it and be like, okay, let's just accept that this is the future, because how could it stop? But now I'm kind of regressing to, I'm actually dabbling with okay, AI actually is the worst thing that's ever happened to humans that like to create you know, art. But it is here to stay. And it's kind of like when plugins, first digital plugins came out, you know, everyone wants to have like a rack of analog gear in their studio, and everyone argued about, you know, using outboard gear versus you know, software and stuff. And from day one I was like, it's not going away. Like, plugins are here to stay. And so as a result, I still have analog gear and I collect it and I love it, and it's sexy and it's inspiring and it makes me feel like I'm actually making real music more. But I also have 2,000 plugins and talk with all my closest friends about the latest plugins on Black Friday because everything's on sale, and it's like, okay, you got to get this, you got to get it. Oh, are you using that? Okay, you know. And we all want to be on the cutting edge. Like, I just bought 2 plugins yesterday, and I started mixing this gay 90s song. Um and it's all these crazy vocal manipulation plugins, um not just for tuning or timing, but you can also make doubles that weren't there, or you can take 20 vocals that are stacked and just loosely time them perfectly together, which normally
By that, you're
normally
creating
when
your own chorus.
yeah, like there's so many things you can do. And but there is, the reason why I'm okay with that sort of manipulation is because that software, well, it was quite expensive for years, so most people don't have it. And then I just snagged it because it was finally like $150 instead of like 700 or something, and or whatever crazy amount it was before. But also there's a big learning curve. Like, I spent the morning cleaning the house while listening to like tutorials, and like, so that still places it in like in the scarcity realm. So I feel like by me using this software that's really kind of difficult to wrap your head around, I can cheat, but I'm still doing something that I know most producers are like, can't be bothered. And so I think with AI it's the same. Like, yeah, you can go make something on an app in 5 seconds, but the people that are going to be getting people's eyes and ears the most are the ones that, you know, have like a crazy AI model that they bought like a specific kind of PC for, even though they're a Mac person, like, you know, and they're running their own unrestricted models that, you know, don't have the same guardrails, and they're able to output higher quality, and the renders take way longer. And you know, there's always going to be the people that get to the top by learning how to use the new tools faster and better and invest more time and money into. And so right now it's kind of, it feels like the gold rush, in that it's like, oh wow, anyone can just go and quickly get some gold from the river. But pretty soon it will sort of normalize, and it's going to be some gatekeeper with a big budget that has like the fancy gold digging machine that actually is efficiently getting gold now, and we'll look back and be like, oh yeah, we
Well,
kind of missed the window.
the record companies are doing this themselves. They're creating AI songs that they own in perpetuity right from day one. There's no contract with anybody out there. And then they already have the machine in place where they can go to that gatekeeper at whichever digital service provider, whichever radio station, and say, hey, check out this new artist or this new song. Yes, it is AI, but man, it's good. And they're just going to start pushing that stuff before maybe pushing a live artist. If you work at Universal Music, they have Universal Music Canada has 40 music priorities each week.
Yeah.
Well, eventually that's going to be, 25% of them are going to be AI.
But will they be able to write lyrics that are on the level that the artists that are adapting to this knowledge have adapted to? You know what I mean? Like I'm just pulling up, I sent Ryan a video. Did I send it to him? Like I've been working on this punk song. It's like a political song. And I'm like, yeah, but anyone can do sort of political stuff. And it's like, of course, like I've never wanted to sort of be like the Green Day singing about George Bush and watch it get dated and stuff. But I just have so many things to say about the state of Western civilization. And so I just wrote the most insanely twisted song. And I think I feel like AI will never be able to sing the way I'm singing this song. Like I'll sing so many takes and then choose like the weirdest parts and then sort of Frankenstein them together. And it just sounds like the craziest singer you've ever heard. I don't think AI could do a song like this. And so I think AI is changing. And lyrics too. Like AI could never write these lyrics, I'm positive. So I think AI is already changing me.
Well,
you know
we'll
what I
see
mean?
about
And
that. We'll see in 3 years what
yeah,
that looks
well,
like.
but in 3 years I'll be on another crazy level.
I'm
Or
just-
or it will take me down, like, and that's what happened when photography came out. It took down all the portrait painters, Um and then all of a sudden you have Picasso. And like Picasso, I'll probably die broke with nobody appreciating what I do within my lifetime. And
Let's talk about,
except nobody will buy my shit later.
well, that's add on the problem of how do you monetize anything moving forward when everything in digital media today appears to be free and we can create it for free. So that's another thing.
Well, it's honestly, I went, when I went to University of Victoria, I went into business and realized quickly I did like a couple years of like math and finite math and calculus and all that stuff. I was like, I hate business. But my roommate also went into business. We kind of just did it so we could be together and we didn't know what else to do. He excelled at business and has gone on to have his own business, and he does mortgages and he knows about the economy and stuff. So I bug him all the time about the economy, and I sent him a video today that I saw, which was like a really well done pro video essay, of giving scientific statistical analysis based evidence showing why the global economy is going to crash worse than the Great Depression, way worse than 2008. And he gives all these statistical points why 2026, by the end of 2026, we are really screwed. And I'm like, the only way my brain thinks is, oh, I better like, I don't know, buy gold. I don't know. Like I just thought I'm just gonna do a bunch of mixes for people. So I'm like, I better go straight back to rock mixes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to prepare. But I think artists may be screwed, but also they always somehow figure out how to rise to the occasion. But globally, we are screwed for sure.
Okay. You have a show coming up, a special show with Andy Kim. We touched upon it on earlier.
You're like, let's, instead of talking about the world collapsing, why don't we talk about Christmas time? Nice songs.
But you are going to be playing, it's the Andy Kim Christmas playing in Vancouver this time around, an event that has been going on for got to be 2 decades now. What are you playing? Of all the bands that you have to pick from, what does Steve Bays play that night? Because I think you get like 2 or 3 songs, right? And is one normally like a holiday theme song?
Yeah. Well, my Christmas one I'm doing is Wham's Last Christmas, just because there's not that many great Christmas songs, and I always love that song.
Okay, that's fair.
And I've been recording a trippy synthed out weird version of it that every Christmas I almost put out, and I might put it out this Christmas. But and then the other, well, I'm also Ryan's gonna do it. Ryan Dahl's gonna do it, so I think we're gonna do Mounties Tokyo Summer, and then I'll probably do like Hot at Heat, Middle of Nowhere, to be honest. Just
my favorite from Hot Heat. My favorite by far.
My favorite would be something off of the last record we did, but I do respect that song. And like, I've kind of like, when I go out to karaoke, someone will always pull up Middle of Nowhere and start singing it and look at me and be like, come on, join in. And then I'll join in for the last half. And then everyone's just, like on stage singing it and hugging and stuff. I'm like, I'd be a fool to be, modest about this. It's nice to have a song that people know. So,
well, God, I hear it almost everywhere. Like I could be at Home Depot and all of a sudden Middle of Nowhere is playing. I'm like, look at this Home Depot.
Oh man, that's so fun. That's crazy.
Probably too. You've probably heard your song now, Middle of Nowhere, more out in public than you've performed it in the last dozen years.
Probably. That's actually, yeah, that's probably true. And, Home Depot actually has some good playlists. I have a side project called Left Field Messiah, which people should go check out. And it's one of the guys in it is Jeremy Razumna from Fits and the Tantrums. And the amount of times I've texted him from Home Depot, like, buddy, they're cranking you in Home Depot. And then I heard this, do you know that band? I'm blanking on their name, but they have that song. It's like, and we dance. I know there's a million songs that say we dance.
You're gonna have to break that.
And we dance.
Yeah, I'll need more filters to figure out this puzzle.
Dang. I would use it's on my phone and my Spotify, but yeah, I'll get back to you on that. But
I see that all the time though. I think of the artists, and I wonder in your case especially, Middle of Nowhere you've probably heard it more in the last 12 years than you've played it. But I wonder about like some other artists who have had global hits. And they go to Home Depot just like everybody else, and they walk in and they go, God damn it, why does this have to be playing as I'm in here? Like Nickelback's How You Remind Me. Every time he's been out, Chad Kroeger has probably heard his song being played in some sort of store, department store, or a restaurant.
It's crazy like what things get attached to you permanently and you have no say over it. So you just pray that it's something half decent, and
not dated, like you said about Green Day, singing about George Bush. Now that song has dated itself.
Right. Yeah. And I was such a fan of Green Day going back to when I was a tiny little guy and they were still playing Victoria and they weren't signed yet. And then when they signed, I was like, yeah, go Green Day. But as soon as they put out that album, which is by far the biggest thing they've ever done, I was like, they lost me. And they're great. And I still love them technically, but I don't know. There's something about like the low hanging fruit sometimes. which is why if I'm going to do a political punk song, it's got to be the distant fruit nobody knows about if I'm going to bother doing it.
Well, and you also run the risk when
Um,
you're doing something like that. You're running the risk of pissing off a good portion of your audience.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
everyone is
I'm not worried about
so easily
if
divided today.
I, I don't worry about that. I think like to me, showing your true self is essential in more than ever. And if you feel like you have to sort of, I think a lot of people don't want to talk about politics. So that's sort of why I don't get into it on social media and stuff. Just because like I will talk politics with my friends that want to, talk about the latest tea, and we'll go super deep. But it is a feeling that you have when you're talking about politics, and people don't, I think, go to my Instagram page to be like, oh, what's his take on this like super shitty thing that's going on? You know what I mean?
I assume that that is with everybody on social media by and large. What's their take? Nobody cares what Jeff Leake has
Yeah.
to say about the current government.
Yeah. The weird thing is I've just been thinking about this concept, which is a very primitive concept, but basically, as you know, raising our daughter, and thinking about how we want to, because you're essentially, whether you admit it or not, you're like molding this person's brain, and it's like, yeah, you know what? It's too abstract. It's too abstract. I shouldn't even go into that rabbit hole, but there is a lot of extremes that you see online, and I think it's because of the just internet culture still being so like insane, and us kind of not understanding as a species what is healthy and what is unhealthy about having all this information thrown at us all the time. But eh, we're all the most important person to ourselves to a certain degree, to in order to survive. Like I'm gonna make myself breakfast so I don't starve. I'm not knocking on my neighbor's door to make them breakfast. So like primitively, we're sort of all the main character. But but the sooner you realize that you're just sort of like just a speck of dust, and you're just a blip on the radar, and you are not the most important person to anyone else, the more you realize you don't actually have to impress them as much as you think you do, or because they're all just thinking about themselves. um and so when you start caring about what other people think of you more than what you think of yourself, then it becomes this really toxic pursuit where you'll never be satisfied.
Well,
um
I've been taking the approach when it comes to politics that all the politicians are liars. Doesn't matter
they
what
are.
side, if you're the left or the right. If I go by the assumption that they're liars, then I don't get upset because I know they don't surprise me anymore.
Yeah,
Set up.
it's the same with like all companies in these days. Like I feel like I have to look at everyone like they're scamming me. um Otherwise you end up getting scammed, and still I get scammed. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like the sporting leagues that are out there. They're all about player safety, player safety. We care about the people and all that stuff. And then the first ad that comes up on the commercial is for a gambling site where they know that the gambling company has every bit of detail about you, Steve Bays, how you tend to pick your bets, the time of
yeah.
day, and they are going to feed you stuff that will bankrupt you in the end.
Oh,
So they care about their
it's so
players. They
toxic.
sure don't care about their fans too much.
No,
Set up
they,
20. We got to wrap here because we're running on hot heat time.
I was gonna say, like, just to sum up the thing about politicians is, um like the same way pedophiles are attracted
Jesus.
to working in elementary schools or whatever, people that want power are attracted to politics. And what kind of person wants power? Usually someone that's got a screw loose. Like, power's not that sweet. Like, I don't get it. Why would you want power? Oh, unless like there's a deep hole in you that hasn't been filled from yourself or your family, So anyway.
Steve Bays, so many projects on the go. Tell me what 2026 looks like for you, excluding the world's demise.
I've got a bunch of music of my own that I've been dragging my feet on putting out because I've been working on other people's stuff because I got to pay the bills. But I'm putting out a ton of music of my own.
Is this under a solo Steve Bays, or
yeah,
is this
just Steve Bays? It's just Steve Bays.
What's the timeline for that?
Probably a song this month comes out, and then a new. Probably a song a month is I think my goal right now, which probably
Awesome.
means a song every 2 months.
Awesome.
But I don't know. I want to get to a point where I've put out enough music, and what I don't like right now is that it feels like an official, like I'm putting something out that's supposed to represent me. I just want to have the equivalent of an ongoing mixtape because I'm constantly making songs and I just don't like the pressure of feeling like it has to represent me. I just like play them to my friends all the time and send them to people I know. But I want to get to the point where it's just this ongoing sort of vomit of creativity and that there's no pressure for it to be anything in the rock and roll world and machine. It is what it is. And I'm struggling with the whole concept of Spotify right now. So yeah, it's anyway, doesn't matter because there's going to be a huge economic depression within 1 year. So
Steve, thanks for doing this, man. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad you got the power back on.
Oh, right. Yeah, I am attracted to that kind of power.
Now forget everything that you thought you knew from the shadow